Rain hammered against the glass walls of Helios Technologies, the billion-dollar empire perched on the 54th floor of downtown Manhattan. Inside, chaos was brewing. The air buzzed with tension, the kind that makes people hold their breath before something breaks. "Where is she?" barked Amelia Hart, the young, brilliant, but notoriously short-tempered CEO. Her usually sleek auburn hair was frizzing from the storm outside, and her heels clicked like thunder across the marble floor. She was minutes away from a billion-dollar video call with international investors, but the translator she'd hired from Georgia had yet to connect. "Ma'am, the system's down. It says 5 more minutes," her assistant stammered. "5 minutes?" Amelia snapped. "Do you realize 5 minutes could cost us everything?" In that moment of fury, her phone rang, a foreign number. She froze, realizing it might be the Georgian investor himself. "Answer it," she yelled at her assistant. But before the woman could react, a quiet, nervous hand reached out. It belonged to Luca, the janitor, a shy young man from Georgia who spoke with a heavy accent and kept to himself. He had been mopping quietly in the corner, invisible as usual. Without thinking, Luca pressed answer. "Hello," he said softly. "This is Helios Technologies' office." Amelia's eyes flared like fire. "Who told you to touch that?" she snapped, storming toward him. "You're a janitor, not my secretary. Do you realize what you've just done?" Everyone froze. Luca looked down, gripping the phone like it was a lifeline. I just wanted to help, ma'am. The call, it was ringing too long." Amelia snatched the phone. "Hello, yes, this is Amelia Hart," she said sharply. But as she listened, her face turned pale. The investor on the other end spoke thick, rapid Georgian words Amelia couldn't catch. The translator wasn't online. Panic shot through her veins. "Sir, one moment, translator," she stammered. Luca, still standing nearby, lifted his head. "I can translate," he whispered. Amelia froze. Everyone in the room stared at him. "You," she said coldly, "you're a janitor." "Yes, ma'am," Luca said quietly, "but I'm from Tbilisi. I speak Georgian and English. I studied economics before I moved here." Something about the humility in his voice made her hesitate. The investor on the phone grew impatient, his tone rising. Amelia had no choice. "Fine," she hissed, shoving the phone toward him. "Don't mess this up." For the next 20 minutes the office watched in awe. Luca spoke confidently, fluidly translating every phrase between Amelia and the investor. His voice was calm, measured, professional. Amelia, used to being the smartest person in the room, suddenly realized how small her outburst had been. When the call ended, the investor smiled through the screen. "We'll proceed with the deal," he said warmly. "You have a remarkable team, Ms. Hart." The screen went dark. Silence. Amelia looked at Luca, this quiet man in worn shoes and a faded uniform, and saw someone she'd never noticed before. "Thank you," she said finally, her tone softer than anyone had heard in months. Luca nodded, clutching his mop like a shield. "You're welcome, ma'am." But deep inside, something had shifted in both of them. The next morning, Amelia couldn't stop thinking about the janitor who had saved her company. She tried to focus on work, but every report reminded her of the moment she had yelled at someone who had only wanted to help. She asked HR to pull Luca's file. "Luca Iashvili," she read aloud. "Age 27, immigrated from Georgia 3 years ago, degree in business administration, never verified." She frowned. Never verified. Apparently, his university in Tbilisi burned down during unrest. Lost all records. He's been doing odd jobs since, HR explained. That day, when Amelia saw him quietly cleaning the glass near the boardroom, she paused. "Luca," she said softly. He froze, unsure if she was angry again. "I wanted to apologize," she said, surprising herself. "Yesterday I spoke to you unfairly. You saved the deal. I should have thanked you sooner." Luca smiled, but it didn't quite reach his eyes. "It's okay, ma'am. People see what they expect to see." Those words struck her like lightning. People see what they expect to see. From that moment on, Amelia began to see differently. She asked Luca to help with translations for future meetings. Slowly, he became more than a janitor. He became a quiet presence in meetings, a bridge between cultures, a man who listened more than he spoke. But trouble was brewing. 2 months later, the same Georgian investors called again, but this time something was wrong. A translation error in one of the contracts was causing panic overseas. Lawyers from both sides were ready to pull out. Amelia's billion-dollar deal was collapsing. She called Luca to her office immediately. "They're threatening to walk away," she said, voice trembling. "They think we changed the terms." Luca reviewed the documents quietly, eyes scanning every line, then he shook his head. "No, ma'am, this wasn't mistranslation, it was misinterpretation. The phrase you used, exclusive rights to local operation, in Georgian sounds like you're taking away their independence." He grabbed a pen and scribbled an alternate phrase in Georgian. "If you say this instead, it means partnership instead of possession." Amelia blinked. "Can you talk to them yourself?" He nodded. The next call lasted 2 hours. When it ended, the Georgian investors were smiling again. Deal saved, billion-dollar contract secured. When Amelia hung up, her eyes glistened. "Luca," she whispered, "you didn't just save the deal, you saved this company." He smiled shyly. "I just did my job, ma'am." "No," she said, shaking her head. "You did my job better than I did." The next day, she called an all-staff meeting. The entire company gathered in the lobby as Amelia stepped to the podium. "There's someone here who reminded me that talent doesn't wear a title," she began, voice steady. "Yesterday I yelled at him, today I promote him." Luca stood frozen as the room erupted in applause. Amelia smiled. "Mr. Luca Iashvili, welcome to Helios Technologies as our new international relations officer." He was speechless, tears filled his eyes. "Thank you, ma'am, I don't know what to say." "Say you'll keep teaching me what really matters," Amelia said with a smile. From that day, Luca's life transformed. He sent money home to his family, rebuilt the school in his Georgian village, and often visited the janitors during lunch just to chat, never forgetting where he came from.